Every time that AC comes on, that fan needs to come on. Otherwise, it won't take long for the AC system to develop too much pressure.
You made an excellent point last night about the insulation of the cabin too.
And insulation of the cabin is very critical too. Scout 2s run all the heat coming out of the radiator is basically getting funneled down through the tunnel assembly, the transmission tunnel assembly. It gets really hot. You can have an AC system pumping mid-30s, 40 degrees, but then you got so much heat soak coming off the transmission, what's actually blowing is now about 60, 70 degrees and it can't keep up. So definitely using insulative products. Some of our favorite stuff is called Lizard Skin. It's a water-based product. Dynamat.
We got a Lizard Skin with the Dynamat and actually a Dynamat on it, which I mean it makes it thicker, but
Yeah,
it keeps
makes a
it
big
on.
difference. Big difference.
That Lizard Skin really works, huh?
I like it.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
looks
we
good.
We exclusively use that product. And the other thing too is if the Scout ever caught fire, it's a water-based product. It's not like adding gas to them. You know, where an oil-based product is going to really flame up. And
That's a good point.
yeah, a lot of these guys will do like I don't want to say Linex, but the homebrew ones that they do, they roll them on. Boy, those things seem real fumy, you know. Being near the Rubicon Trail, I've seen a couple rigs where, yeah, just that coating just took off and just, added fuel to the fire. Didn't matter how many fire extinguishers you threw at it, it's nothing going to stop.
One
That
thing-
Lizard Skin is water-based.
Water-based product.
Talking about that, to me, your moisture in your eyes and whatever's showing, and you're spraying that stuff, is it gonna affect you more?
Just wear the proper, goggles and respirator.
Now you're required with water-based out west, right?
Because we don't do in-house painting and such, I mean, sure, we'll do the Lizard Skin. But otherwise, no, I don't know. I mean, where I'm at, the laws are definitely a little bit different in California. They sell different paints in that state. Everything's different there.
Yeah.
We don't have available to us like some of the other states do without running across the border or something.
I was just wondering if anybody had any experience with water-based paints that was a health problem.
I would think anything though that you're spraying aerosol-wise, you want to wear a respirator. You don't want to be breathing in anything. You want to coat the metal on your lungs.
So is that a thick product, that Lizard Skin? Is that like latex?
Comes in
paint?
like a tub about yay big, and you just mix it up and buy a special sprayer. They're not that expensive. You can actually buy a little kit for it. What is it, like a HVLP, like a high volume, low pressure?
It's a real large orifice HVLP system.
Yeah.
You can actually spray that out of a Schultz gun if you know what that is. It's like a gun you spray undercoating out of. You can spray it out of that too if you got a pot that you can use for that. It'll squirt out of that too. It goes on a little heavier. I like to spray it that way because like a lot of the guns that like the Lizard Skin sells with them, it sprays, the coating is pretty thin as you're doing it, and which is okay. You get lots and lots of multiple coats. But if it's a weird area and I'm wanting to just put it on heavy and I got plenty of time to let it set and dry, I use the Schultz gun. It sprays faster. It sucks that. It looks like mortar is what it looks like in a bucket.
Yeah.
I mean, once you stir it up, it's still thick as all get out. So.
And you can roll it in there too,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as a shop, we're trying to do things efficiently as possible. We're going to spray them out. But if you're just a home shop guy, yeah, just you can use a paint roller, especially for it. Just roll them in there, paint brushes for the corners, and they come out pretty nice.
Does it stick to other paints and stuff?
Yeah.
Got part of line carriers, somebody rhino like it.
So it's already got rhino lining.
Yeah.
Now whether you can spray Lizard Skin on the rhino lining, I don't know. I would almost think you'd have to get the Lizard Skin,
How you clean
the
it.
rhino lining removed entirely before you can put that in.
Because you're only as good as your substrate. So whenever you spray that over top of it, that's as good a quality as you're going to get. The heat barrier, the way Lizard Skin works is it has a high ceramic content in it. The metal, being in contact with the metal is what gives you your heat barrier and your insulative properties.
Shooting dust going down like bare metal. So,
Yeah.
That's where you have to get like aircraft paint remover, so to speak, let it soak in there, and you get your putty knife out and start.
Take off.
Oh yeah, bare metal. Instantaneous.
deadline are off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That's not-
Well ventilated space.
think it
Yeah,
might
you're
be
not
good.
gonna like those 2 weeks.
Might be good. Might be good just to go to Dynamat and stick it over top of that.
Yeah, you can, as long as it's not, and again, you know, it's a good surface to adhere to.
Yeah.
For Dynamat, you do want a nice smooth surface for it to stick to, otherwise it can start just unpeeling.
I've used Dynamat, I don't really care for the adhesive of the Dynamat, I don't like how it sticks. We use something called Hush Mat. That's actually what most of the OEMs are using and stuff now. And it's right on the box, guaranteed adhesion. And you want it where you want it before you let it up, because it goes, and it's on there. And it will stick to just about anything you want to. And Dynamat is very hard on your fingers, just because trying to push it in, I've got a little roller that comes with it and all that stuff to roll it on, and it's really hard to get to stick. After you've used Hush Mat, you realize how hard Dynamat is to use. Hush Mat, you can almost take your hands and lay it out and push it down. And we still roll it. No, I think some it does sell. The cheapest place I found it is Amazon. We've got Amazon Prime with free shipping and all that good stuff. But yeah, I can't remember. It's Kansas, I think, is the company in Kansas that makes it. I can't remember for sure where they're at.
I was looking forward to taking it off.
No, you won't be.
You won't, yeah, it's not a fun job.
Hush Mat's pretty awesome stuff. Dynamat's the same way if you've never really messed with it. We took a metal door panel from a Scout 2 and just had one. And I had a video I put online of it. You can tap it. It just sounds like you're hitting a bell, and then you take the other one, it just goes thunk.
Right.
And we coated the whole back side of it. I mean, it's like you're hitting a piece of, I don't even know what. It's pretty amazing stuff. And we've done it on insides of top to bottom on a
It's
couple
just the
of
back side of the metal
It
panel?
really makes a difference.
It's good for sound and.
Oh, yeah, big time.
That's pretty much, I always call it Dynamat, because most people know it, but I use the same product Mike does, as the Hush Mat as well.
It comes in sheets. Is it 1 foot by 2 foot? I think it's just a little
Yeah.
off from 1 by 2.
And then it's how many sheets you buy. It comes in like a 6-pack, 12-pack, and 18-pack, just depending on how big of an area you're gonna do. But the more you use it, really, I mean, inside your door panels, anywhere you can, inside the doors,
Yeah.
the more you use it, the quieter that vehicle will become on the
All the
road.
little scraps you cut off to make it fit, keep, put them on the back side of the dash, and around the gauge panel, all that stuff, and it really makes a difference.
Awesome.
Well, it must be tough getting it on the inside of the door though.
On the door itself,
Are you putting it on the outer skin, like the inner part?
we usually put one piece on the inside of the door skin. And then
You say
when
you
you grab
grab
the
it
door
over.
panel off, you hammer it on the inside of the door panel, hang it back on. There's the way we do it.
But you said it sticks as soon as you touch it,
Right.
you're done. I know I'd probably screw it up 3
No,
times before you
we
get it
take
right.
it while it still has the backing paper on it and stick it up in there, and you
Oh,
can take your thumb
then
and
pull-
position it, and take your thumb and rub it with your thumbnail along the edge of where you want to cut it. Pull it back out and cut it, so you've got this piece cut like that for that brace that's inside the door.
Okay.
So you really just put the triangle on, put that on, and then take another piece and fish it up in there. Kind of hold it, pick the corner, and just peel it back as you're applying it, like hold it against and just 180-degree on itself with paper and just stick it up.
You get to be able to handle it for practice.
I've got pretty big hands and I can get in there.
And he's a decal man, so he's pretty good.
Well,
I would think though, if you're on the inside of the door and you're a little crooked up your Dynamat, you know,
Yeah, so.
no one's gonna see
It's
it.
okay if you got a ring for it.
and that might be a better place for their lizard skin spray on stuff too. I've not used that just because we like that Hush Mat so well.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's an easier.
That would be
We've got lizard skin on the inside of fenders, the inside of the doors, underneath the hood, the firewall, I mean, just as much as possible.
That's a nice product, it's easy to use.
Yeah.
How's Hush Mat?
Is it at all rust preventive?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Well, what we like to do, obviously, seal up every seam that you can before you use anything like that. Seal and seam sealer, urethane seam sealer is number one, because that's where your rust is gonna stop. Anytime you can get moisture penetrating into 2 pieces of metal welded together, and it's gonna happen in any seam, you gotta seal that up. That's first. Then go ahead with your,
You like the brushable type or the?
I spray everything. man.
Spray.
I try not to brush anything, unless it's just some weird area that is unique, you know.
Do you seal on both sides of the seam or just one?
Both. Both, absolutely both.
Another question. We have, our next step is rewiring, because there's some issues and also the safety thing. and rodents or whatever, critters that might have been in there. And one of the guys that looked at it said he thought it looked like it was originally wired for a 6-volt battery, and then they put in a 12-volt wiring.
You said your truck was like around a 64?
Yeah.
That would have come factory with 12 volt. So it wouldn't have made,
Okay,
it wouldn't
so
make
you didn't-
sense if it ever, unless someone after you bought it decided to go back to 6 volt, but boy, that
That
really
doesn't-
wouldn't
Yeah.
make sense. Yeah.
As long as we had it, I just remember 12-volt battery. So when he said that, it made no sense. I wondered if you had ever seen anything like that.
Not in the 60s, no.
Yeah, okay. In the master cylinder for the brakes, it's a dual, but one goes to the right side and one goes to the left
You
side.
got a brake and a clutch.
Right. So we want, because if the brakes go out, I don't want to have
Sure.
nothing. So
Right.
we are gonna put one to go to the back. Does that make sense?
Proportionate.
Yeah, basically, so it's manual transmission. What you're saying is your master cylinder is for your brakes and your clutch at the same time. So I believe what you have to do is find from a slightly later truck, still up to 68, some of those had a separate brake master and a separate clutch master. And you have to buy the backing plate, you have to find the backing plate, kind of almost part out, find an original truck that's being parted out, they'll have those and take those components off. It may even include the brake pedal assembly, I haven't personally done it. I know that there's been some guys on our tech forums doing it, kind of posting up the parts they've been needing to do that conversion, but that's usually how they do it. Then from there, you can upgrade that single reservoir master cylinder to a dual reservoir, again, to modernize it for safety in case you have a brake failure.
Yeah,
one end or
because
the
it'll
other.
be driven on the highway, so I don't think that's very safe. I've had that happen before, not fun.
Yeah, not fun when you lose your master cylinder and all the brakes go out.
Yeah, not fun.
At least with a split system, you have still 50% of your brakes is better than no percent.
Yeah.
In that split, can they use a separate,
It's a proportioning valve.
no, I mean separate, cylinder for the clutch at that point? They didn't make like a triple, it had all three.
No, what we call the duals would have been a single reservoir for the master and a single reservoir for the brakes, and one for the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I have now on 66 1200, when they went to 67, 68. Then there's a separate one for brakes, and then a
Correct.
separate, whole separate one, so master cylinder for clutch.
Yeah.
So find the clutch mechanical.
Correct, yeah.
When you're mounting a fiberglass rear quarter panel on a scalp tube, do you have any particular brand of adhesive that you prefer? And do you prefer to rely on the adhesive alone, or do you rely on adhesive and pop rivets, screws, flathead screws? What's your process on that?
We use a Miller. We use a
Use
Miller.
metal, yeah, okay, so. you
The
have-
Miller
is-
welder.
is-
I don't like fiberglass quarters.
I haven't installed, we always do metal as well, so that might leave Tony if you serve.
So you're all metal fans.
Okay.
Well, I'm a metal fan. I'm a metal fan myself too. But in the opportunity, in a situation where you have to use fiberglass for whatever reason it is, Fuser makes a really super good product. It's a super strong adhesive just for fiberglass to metal applications.
Okay.
And it's standalone. You don't need any mechanical fasteners. That's from the factory. And over the years, I've tried to remove them. And I can tell you that probably don't need any mechanical fasteners because you would destroy them trying to get them back off. They just cannot break that adhesive bond. But I like to throw a rivet in here and there just to be on the safe side.
Okay, and you said it's Fusor?
Fuser, F-U-S-O-R.
F-U-S-O, okay, thank you.
Back on the air conditioning, one thing we found with going to 134A is going away from the tube style condenser and going to a aluminum cross flow condenser makes a huge difference because of the chemical properties and the amount of 134A that you use. What we found is you got to get that 134A down as close to ambient temperature as you can get for it to be efficient. So with the big aluminum cross flow condensers, it'll be hot going in that you can't hardly touch, and at the bottom it'll pretty well be at ambient temperature. So the bigger, get the biggest cross flow aluminum condenser that you can get, and that'll really improve the efficiency of the 140. And we like the 7-piston sanding. Just, you've got 7 little pistons versus 5 big ones. You know, you go from turning 2 pistons, which is kind of like the old John Deere Johnny Popper, is the way they sound when they're running. And then you go to a 5-piston, or you can go to a 7-piston, and it sounds, you don't even feel engaged going down the road. It just, you're turning 7 little pistons instead of 2 big ones. I like the sanding compressor, and then, like I said, use the biggest aluminum cross flow radiator that you can get. And then I usually put a binary switch in it, so if you do build up too much head pressure, if you're not using electric fans, it'll kick the compressor off for a few minutes and let the head pressure go down, and then kick it back on. And then if you do have a leak, you know, if you get below like 40 pounds on the high side, it'll kill the compressor, so you don't trash the compressor. And you can move the dryer mount using the stock dryer. You can take the mount off the front and then take that apart and then mount it to the heater box, where it's a lot easier to get access
Yeah, later
to.
Scott twos were like that.
Right.
Put it where you actually get them, not buried behind the lights and stuff.
Right.
Any other questions?
Back to the paint primer, you talked about etching primer first or epoxy primer. Or you can only do like a small part of the time before you get to the next one. Would it be worthwhile to put a primer sealer over it? There's primer sealers available before you put on the final.
Like, give me an example. Like if you're sanding down a fender and you're gonna come back to it later. Is that, yeah, like a self-etching primer, a zinc-based primer as your initial
This is the
substrate.
first one,
Yeah.
filler primer, get it smooth, so it's ready to go to paint, for example.
Yeah, if it's gonna be a while before you get back to it, put an epoxy on it,
Paint epoxy over it.
over top of that self-etching or the acid-based primer. That'll keep any moisture from getting back to the metal before you can get back to it again. You always want to seal that up if there's going to be a lag time in between your process, because you don't want moisture getting into your, even high build primers will attract moisture and hold it. So you definitely want to keep an epoxy between your high build primer and your material, your substrate, your metal, whatever it is that you're working
Your epoxy is your chemical bond, right?
with. Correct.
That's the anchor for everything else.
You got to keep that moisture out of it.
No plan on taking time between, it always ends up being.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen.
I got a question. So we're gonna make it go off? We'll let you know by July.
11 months and 14 days. Build off competition. Whether we're actually going to bring something this next year or not.
We'll have a build off next year.
Yeah. Jeremy, I think all of us are going to be in a pretty good position. We're all staged for that.
A lot of the guys I'm talking to say that
Well, I don't know, speaking for myself, I'm feeling pretty good. You know where I'm at. So, I don't know, Mike will be there.
Gloves are off.
I know Jeff will be there. I'll be here, yeah. I have a disadvantage on towing. Yes, you do. 3-4 times the distance. Yeah. We can, I'd like to find some sponsorship for transportation. I'd have no problem. If anyone knows a transporter, highly insured.
Free barbecue in Texas on your way through. It did
Get Bruce to get a load out there and you bring it back.
back a load, yeah, back off.
Bruce to back all of
I
it.
had talked to some guys about doing it, no one would really confirm up with me on, because it'd have to be a closed trailer, they'd have to have a separate insurance policy for the rig.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just not being complete, it's, I'm in it to win it, so if I don't feel I have a chance, it's kind of a tough call. You gotta rely on your customer too, unless you're doing one out of pocket, so.
well, we only have one rated gym.
Sure.
Speaking of 5-speed overdrives, I think you have a front shaft that's, what kind of transmission is it?
So that kit's for a new Venture 4500. NV 4500 is what most people know it by. Started coming in Dodge and Chevys in around 1992. They were used all the way up to, I believe, 2006 or 7. They're basically, the early ones, like 92 to 94, geared basically like a T19 wide ratio. They have the 6.32 first gear. You still got that wide split between second between third and fourth. And then you have the fifth gear overdrive kind of on the back. Starting in about 95 is when they went to a 5.62 on the first gear. And still the other 3 remaining gears are the same. They're obviously 26% overdrive.
Which one has got the better granny gear?
Well, the earlier ones have the better grading gear. However, the custom input shafts we make are going to be from the, we made about 4 or 5 for the 92 to 94 versions. And then the rest of our shafts that we make is for the 95 to 2006. From what I understand, the reason they changed the first gear ratio was too many people were complaining about how whiny it was in first gear. So obviously us old school guys driving internationals, that would be normal to us. Well, it was the whiny driver.
Okay, about the whiny gear.
About the whiny gear.
And what type of clutch setup do you need?
Stock clutch.
Stock
Yeah,
clutch.
once you put the input shaft, you swap the input shaft out, put the adapter plate bolts right onto the front of the tranny. You'll still need what's called the nose cone or the front bearing retainer off your old 4-speed to bolt on. That's what supports the clutch collar. So when you're done, it looks like a 4-speed from the front. You just slide it out, slide the new one in. Depending on the vehicle, will depend on whether you're making a new cross member or just hanging it off like on a full-size truck. You're just hanging off the bell housing. On my blue travel out there, I decided to get rid of the divorce transfer case and used a mated one. So there's a new process 205 bolted right back to the back of it. Because of that extra weight, I did an additional cross member under the transmission to help support the weight. But it sure is nice just being able to have that 5th gear and throw it in and have your RPMs drop and
Save the engine too.
save the engine, save the mileage.
How much mileage you pulling in the 5th gear on that, you know?
Miles per gallon? Obviously, depending on speed, I would say when we're averaging around 75 miles an hour in that Blue Beast, we're knocking on the door about 12 miles per gallon, which to me is great. I came out here last year, I got 6 towing, so that was about a $3,000 fuel bill. We're actually having to do a restroom break in between gas stops. So usually it was timed out perfectly, a restroom break with a gas stop, and this year we'd have to stop in between gas stops just to go to the restroom. So it was kind of nice to be able to stretch it out. Tune and everything else, there's so much you have to have right, depending on how fast you drive. Get out in the open deserts, I will pull the speeds up to 85, 90 miles an hour, but my fuel mileage will drop down to 9.
How about coming through the floor? Make it
You do, yeah. The shifter location's a little bit further back, so that'll have to be either we'll make a new cover or just patch the hole you have and cut a new one in. But it sure is nice. Not only that, the shift pattern for when you're shifting is pretty tight. You're just shifting like this, and it's not like here to here to here to here, so you can actually shift it a little bit quicker. They're really good training. I mean, they put these trains behind 5.9 Cummins motors, so they'll take a lot of torque, a lot of power. They did have early flaws in them with the 5th gear nut backing off, but most everything you find today has already been solved and fixed up. It's one of my favorite conversions to do. Whether it's that or the automatic overdrive. It's just getting an overdrive transmission.
Okay, what automatic overdrive do you use?
You can use all sorts of them, actually. Anywhere from the 4L60E, 700R4, which is the early version of that. We've done the 4L65. We've had guys do the 4L80. We're starting to learn that even the 6L80s will work with the kit, which is the 6-speed. The more gears, the merrier.
Yeah. Probably be enough for me.
Yeah, normally it is. It's really nice, like when we've done the 4L68 and you have the lockup converter set up in there that you set the RPM and when it locks up. I mean, at times it feels like a 5-speed automatic transmission when you feel that converter. Boy, it's nice. It really is nice getting the RPMs down on these vehicles.
This is purely cosmetic, but my understanding off the floor, the firewall is painted the same as the truck. And then the engine seems to be afterwards. They spray it with that harvester red, like the hoses and everything. And there's so much grease and grime, but we think there's red under there. Is that supposed to, the engine sprayed red? Is that supposed to be like that or not?
Yeah, it depends. I've seen IH do some sloppy painting on there. I mean, some of that stuff, yeah, was already bolted to the motor and they
The
just,
hoses and everything.
yeah, yeah.
Usually the bypass hose, some of those, it's just, you know, when it comes to the line, they just, you know, the engines were built in Indianapolis and painted in Indianapolis, and they were shipped to Springfield or Fort Wayne or whatever. So, you know, when they put it together, they just painted it, and whatever else was put on afterwards wouldn't have been painted. But you know, if it was, usually your bypass hose is typically painted, but your fuel hoses and things like that typically weren't, because that was put on the line during the truck.
But it was that red? that-
Usually Farmall red.
The engine itself? Okay.
Yeah, they even had a spell back in the 70s that I guess they were trying to convince truckers that their engine was international instead of Cummins, because if you got a Cummins engine, they painted it Farmall red. You see a lot of old 47s going down the road and look at the engine through the tunnel, that's Farmall red. Why they did that, I don't know, but they did.
I've done a red carpet special, which on that one, the transmission transfer case shifters were painted red. Well, they literally did that one on the line. I mean, I couldn't believe when I cleaned it out. It just looked like, boy, they didn't even take nothing off. The transfer case was all painted half red and everything. And
Yeah.
they did do some crude things that would be considered crude by today's standards.
One thing that's really interesting is when we had the show in Springfield, a lot of the guys that worked at the plant would come over and tell a lot of tales and things that they did. And we had a guy one time ask one of them and said, when you did your travel hoist, did you have one or two roof skins? You still had one? Why? He said, well, on odd days, you know, every certain number of scout, every certain number of travel, we would smash two roof skins together and weld it up and build it down the line. I said, why would you do that? He said, so we get an extra smoke break. And then one time they had, a guy was telling me they were welding tailgates, and but they were on piecework, so they had to get so many done a week, and then once they got that number done, they could go home. And they had the welders turned up so hot that the spot welds were popping on the tailgates. They were crystallizing and popping on the tailgates. And so the guy from quality control comes in, and says they come in the next day, and their welders were locked up, and all they had was their leads. But they were on piecework, and all of them did it. You know, GM, Ford, everybody had the same issues. But it's interesting to hear some of the old timers talk about, you know, things that they did at the plant. And,
My
you know,
dad retired from GM Foundry, and he says never buy a car that was made on a Monday or a Friday.
Yeah, the quality control of all of them now is so much better than what it used to be. You know, Jeremy this year they had a Mustang one time that had a rattle in it. They couldn't figure out what it was. Took it back to the dealer, and they could never find out what it was. Well, the one winter, his mother got hit in that quarter panel. But when the body shop took the quarter panel off to fix it, they found 3 beer bottles between the. That's why they were hiding. That's why they were hiding their beer bottles, because they would just weld them up in a.
I believe it.
The stuff like that happened at all.
Yeah, we hear stuff, man. We joke about it in the shop. You know, we get something in like, oh, that was built on a Monday or a Friday, or sometimes you get one in, it's really nice and right. Like, oh, that was a Wednesday. People were just on Wednesday, just cruising doing their job.
Yeah.
Where do they keep all the paperwork from, all the plants and everything? Is it all,
All of it's in Wisconsin.
Historical Society.
Yeah,
okay.
that's where all the lines. Now, if you order a
That's
line,
what I would see.
if you order a line set ticket, all that was converted to microfilm years and years ago. And sometimes you get a line set ticket that looks like it came fresh off a laser printer, and sometimes they're illegible, and you just don't ever know until, and they charge you, you know, what they charge, when Navstar charges you, and whether you can read it or not. You know,
We've been actually refunded a a couple times. when
Yeah,
they're-
you have to
they're not
really,
readable.
you have to really,
Wow.
I've had several of them that I've fought tooth and nail to get credit on, and, well, it's not our fault you can't read it. You ordered it, it's yours.
Do they
Well,
have anything
for
else?
the people we've dealt with,
Right,
Wisconsin,
right.
have been real nice about that.
Yeah, we haven't ordered that many since Wisconsin, but when it was
Navistar.
Navistar, it was like, well, you know, it took us time to find it and print it and send it to you, and that's what you're paying for. So,
Do
Yeah,
they
some
have
you
any?
get, they're really nice and clear and just perfectly legible, and other ones, yeah, they're.
scribbles all over them
Yeah, you
and
can't
smudged
even,
and,
you can't make it out just because the copy's so bad.
yeah.
Being on a PDF, sometimes you can play with the colors and make it to where it's a little bit more readable. And that's what we email all our customers with line set tickets. That way they can print as many copies off as they want, they have it.
Where do you get those line set tickets?
Wisconsin Historical Site is where we get them from. You can get them from there too. I mean, we charge 20, everyone, pretty much all airline dealers or anyone has access to $20. And it usually takes about a week.
What is that layer into?
No, you'll have to go through, you have to go through somebody that has the connection to
You can actually go straight to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah.
Historical Site. You can go direct to them. We have it on our online store, so sometimes people find that just convenient, just be able to go online, pop in their VIN number,
Yeah.
a week later I'm emailing them their line set ticket. Now, the line set tickets are only available from about 55 and up, so if you have anything that's older than 1955, chances are they may not have it.
Do they have anything else besides line setting tickets? Any other kind of production information?
Boy.
Most all the,
There's all sorts of documentation. You can't go up there and spend time. I've known a lot of people that have gone
Yeah.
up there on
Probably
time
very interesting.
and flipped through stuff. I mean, John's done it, but also other people, you don't have to be in business.
I forgot how many tractor trailer loads of documents that when they donated all to Wisconsin, it's like, was it 5 or 7? Do you remember how many tractor trailer loads, they said one time at the 100th anniversary, how many trailer loads of information that they sent to Wisconsin, so they've got
And was that just from Springfield or was that from
all of
everywhere?
it. You know, they just did a house cleaning and said, we don't want this old stuff anymore, you all take it and people can deal with you on it.
Sounds like a good road trip.
Yeah.